Welcome back to the Low Bearing Opinions podcast. My name's Ryan,
I'm CJ.
and on this podcast, we are straight talk, no script, and no apologies.
No fluff, no corporate buzzwords, just hopefully some opinions that are load bearing.
So, CJ, we're in the same room today, which is our first episode ever.
I know, this is nuts.
We wound up in the same city at our headquartered office here that we work out of.
Yep.
So that's awesome. What are we doing today?
Now, before we get into that, how much, we had this figured out, this whole podcast.
We did not have this figured out. We did not have this figured out. I don't know what you're talking about. We came into this with the same problems we always seem to have it, but this was worse.
No, this was worse.
This was way worse.
It took us longer to do it today than normal.
Yeah,
so.
podcasts are said to be easy to start and get going on YouTube, at least. It's not that way.
It's kind of like a mechanic working on a car.
Essentially, yes. That is it. That is it.
All right. So, what do you think we should talk about today?
So we had the apprentices on last time.
Yes,
which was an awesome episode, I feel.
I did. I agreed. Except. Yeah, there's a few things we need to talk about.
There is a few things we need to talk about. We are going to cover some of those. But I do think it was a good episode, and those are talented individuals that I get to work with a good bit in some of the classes that I teach, and I think they'll go far.
And I think they do have a bright future ahead of them, yes.
But, we talked last time kind of survival guide. This time, it's more what makes a good apprentice, kind of what's the best apprentice over the ones that struggle the most.
Yeah, and what does that look like from the perspective of the foreman or the people that are already on the crew, right?
Yeah.
So like, what's their perception? What's what did they see?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great topic, and I think let's just get it out of the way. Junior, when we were talking to him on the last episode, he had a comment, and I didn't say nothing. I talk good too. I didn't say anything that evening. Not sure why. I shouldn't censor myself, but he said something about making sure that he had a proper work-life balance. Now, this is coming from a Gen Xer, so and I've been in the business a little bit. I remember my kind of evolution into the trades, and there was no work-life balance when I started.
No, and that's the same experiences that I've had.
I know that we're trying to do better as an industry to make sure that people can have a work-life balance. But I think that it's important when you're first starting out to make sure that you're putting in the effort and the time so that you can learn what you need to learn and show the dedication and then work yourself. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, you're not wrong in thinking that. No, I know where he's coming from on the point of, being young, want to have your Saturday to go out, either, spend that time with your friends, whatever that is. I get where he's coming from with that, but there is so much that working a Saturday on a job or working even a holiday, I've heard stories of things that you'll just never forget. I'm saying that in a way of like good lessons, but also things that it's imprinted on you that you'll never forget.
Yeah.
But I think that's important that you put in that time because everybody else did, most likely on that crew. Nobody else is, there may be some instances here or there of some differences, but for the majority, you're going to have guys that you've been working with that have worked every Saturday, Sunday, or worked every holiday for that matter.
So if you're just getting into the trades or thinking about getting into the trades and you're listening to us, man, welcome. I hope you have a great career. If you put the time and effort into it, I know you will. I can't believe where I'm at today, and I came from where you're at now. So I know the opportunity's there, but make sure that you show people that you're dedicated, show people that you care about it, make it a priority to not put work first, but put it up pretty high on that priority list, because once you get established, that's when you can start kind of setting some boundaries. I think,
Yes.
so um, yeah, that's how I feel about that. And I know probably gonna get some backlash, and that's what the comment
There's mixed
section's
opinions
for.
on that. I was about to say there's mixed opinions on that, and I also think, I guess when I was younger, I was trying to make the overtime for the money more than I was anything. I mean, at the time, at least that's where I was at in my life. Was like, hey, I want to work Saturday because I get the overtime.
Right.
And yeah, nobody likes working a Saturday. I don't think. I don't think there's.
Though, some of the weekend work was probably some of the funnest work.
That's true, though. I will say that some of the time that I worked weekends, I had the best time with guys.
Yeah.
And some of that was because you was able to solve problems in a way of, I guess during the week it's stressful. I don't know, and this may not sit with you the same way as me, but like during the week, all week it's blow and go. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're on that job on a weekend, it's not. I mean, you're still working, you're still blow and go somewhat, but it's a little bit different environment. I feel
Oh
like.
yeah,
And so
absolutely.
like I don't know, you solve some of these issues that you may not get during the week, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but wanted to get that out of the way. I know. I'm sure we are going to have a lot of comments on that part of it, at least from some of the older folks,
And
because it
welcome.
wasn't really sitting too good with me when it happened. But that's what we're here for.
And we
Talk about it.
welcome them. We welcome those. I mean, like that's what we want to hear on this
Yeah,
podcast. It's your opinion. It's our opinion. Opinions are assholes. And I
everybody
mean,
got one.
everyone's got one. So
All right, so moving on. What what do we want to see out of an apprentice? Do you want somebody, and the I'm going to ask you and then I'll answer. Do you want to see somebody that already knows what's going on, or at least thinks they know what's going on, or do you want somebody who is asking a question?
I want an individual personally, because like what you said there, thinks they know. That's what happens a lot. And I would rather have someone that asks questions. Now, I will say there is such thing as a dumb question,
Oh, come on, that's what we hear all the time.
and
There's no such thing
we've
as a
talked about
stupid
that
question.
before. But there is such thing as a dumb question, I think, especially if you've been given directions pretty clearly, and then ask a question that he just gave you the answer to. Like, you see what I'm
If
saying?
you're not listening to the
Listening, yes,
directions,
yeah.
then yeah, there is a that.
So there is a dumb question, but I don't want people to think that you shouldn't ask questions though, because that is the biggest part of learning the trades, in my opinion, that I experienced, I think everybody else has experienced, is asking questions to guys out there while you're working. It's hard sometimes. Sometimes you gotta kind of monitor when you ask those questions. In the heat of the moment, it's sometimes you get cussed at and things, but ask the question. Be like, "Hey, man, I don't understand what we're doing right here with these anchor bolts, laying them out. Will you show me how to do
Right.
things like that?" Just
Right.
using that as an example, but man, just ask the question and try to keep it in a manner of timing and things. I think.
Yeah, exactly. And make sure that when you do ask the question, you're reflecting back on what you were taught or what you were told. You know, if you're learning, it's okay.
Yeah.
If you're asking a question to delay something, if you're asking a question to get out of work, because I see that a lot.
Or just the playing around in the moment of like you got, because what happens a lot of times with younger people, I feel like, is they're trying to have that little bit of fun, but the other guys are trying to get the work done.
Mm-hmm.
And when you ask that question, trying to have a little bit of fun, joking around, it's not funny in that moment because we're trying to get the work done.
Right.
And so I think that's like what I was talking about with timing, more or less, is that type of thing.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a
Yeah.
good one. So yeah, if it, I would say be coachable.
Yes.
So be receptive to the information that's coming out of the masters or the people that you're working with, but be coachable and be willing to listen and implement that when it's ready, when it's time to do so.
Yes,
So,
and something else to that, and something I've dealt with a lot in the last, it seems like the last few months, is getting guys to try to understand that, maybe you worked on this job with this foreman and he did it a certain way, and this new foreman you're working for, new superintendent, has a little bit different way of doing it. You're just learning a different way. Now, there's a right and a wrong way to do things. Like, I'm not trying to. There is a right and a wrong way to do things, but there is different ways to do things, and you learn different ways of doing it. And I think it's a combination of you learning those different ways, and then either making it your own way of doing things, maybe adjusting what they've taught you, or going with which one you think's best and efficient. I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to. And that's part of that being coachable, is that you're going to hear those different ways and being receptive to it.
Yeah.
And not just like, oh, no, I only know this way. This is how I was taught, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So right next to being coachable, you have to come into this industry with an attitude of not cockiness. I don't know how to say that. I want somebody to come in that is fun loving, ready to do some work. We have a lot of fun on jobs.
Yes.
Nobody can tell me we don't, but there is time that it's time to put the football down and actually get some work done. We have to make sure that, and you have to look around and kind of pay attention to what everybody's doing. If everybody's, digging into a project or a task, now's not the time to have fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's.
Well, I also think, to the attitude point, I think coming into the day, there's this old saying of leave your feelings at the gate type deal.
Ooh, let's talk about that.
And we can get into that a little bit. And so I have some different perspectives on that, I guess, as I've gotten a little bit older. Not a half a century old like you, but I do say
Fuck
that
off.
obviously there is you can't leave it all at the gate type deal. I think you can't leave all your feelings at the gate that you bring in, but the attitude you bring to the job that day is you have to get the job done with the people that you're working with, and you have to find a way to work with those individuals and not let everything outside that gate affect you. If that makes sense.
Go ahead and finish that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I think, at least back when I was growing up, the leaving everything at the gate meant more, I'm not going to let my home life affect what's going on here at work.
Yes.
And, what that means to me is, look, everybody's got stuff going on in their life, family drama, kids drama. I mean, you do have to understand that, yes, you do have things that are going to affect you, but you need to kind of pull it down a little bit while you're working. Break time's a great time to talk to people about it. Now, there's a big push in the industry right now about mental health.
Yes.
Which, look, I'm Gen X. We took all of our feelings and packed them into a little ball and stuffed them out deep. So I have a different opinion than the prevailing thoughts that are going through everybody's right now. So, I mean, there has to be a happy medium.
Well,
right?
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at, is that happy medium is what the biggest thing about the attitude coming to work, I feel, is making sure that you don't bring it all in and just constantly be going over. Like you said, break time's a great time. Obviously, talk to your people, man. Like, that's the biggest thing.
Absolutely. I'm not saying don't talk to your people.
No, and I know that. I'm just saying, like, you have to come to work, ready to go, and it's going to affect you, but you have to just kind of let it kind of roll off your back a little bit and get the work done, and then find those moments when you have your conversation. If you need to talk to somebody, that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah,
come to work with a happy-go-lucky attitude, willing to learn. I would rather see somebody like that than somebody that knows it all.
And that's the other important part is I don't mean that you're going to have bad days. Everybody has bad days. Don't like that's going to happen.
Every Monday.
Yeah, Mondays, sometimes Fridays. It just depends on how that goes. But you're going to have bad days. If you're coming to work consistently with the same problems over and over, and you're always just, it's always a problem. You're always, your car's always breaking down. And I guess that's a bad example, car breaking down, but like you always have the same little
That's a
problems.
good topic for another
It
podcast.
is, but something always little's happening that's affecting you in a big way all the
Mhm.
time. That really it wears on a crew of like, man, we got to get this job done. I mean, you got to get your stuff together.
Yeah.
And I mean things you control. Go back to mental health stuff. That's a little bit different conversation for a different day. But I think what we're talking about in the attitude point is the things that you can control. You need to not let them affect you in such a big way sometimes.
Yeah.
On coming to work.
Yeah. You know, I I I've been told that by my boss, by my current boss, that I am sparkly.
You are
Those
most
were
certainly.
literally that was his
Your
description of me.
sawdust is glitter, as your
As a
shirt says.
yes. So, but that attitude, I've always had that attitude. I've always come to work, and it took something really bad happening at work to affect me. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, there were times I only came home 2 or 3 times a year. I spent 3.5, 4 years on the road, where I was working around the country, and that was really hard on me and my family.
Mhm.
I mean, the repercussions are still going on today from that. But when I went to work, I was there to work,
Yeah.
but I've always been this personality,
Yeah.
except for when I was drinking and drugging.
Yeah.
That was a different
That was
time
a
of my
different
life.
time. Maybe a whole nother story we tell one day,
Oh, I
or
can.
some
Yeah,
of the
I'd
good
love to. I'd
stories.
love to tell you some of those stories.
But yeah, I agree with you on that. Definitely.
Yeah. So what else? What else? So we've talked about attitude. We've talked about coachability. What what other things are the leaders on the crew looking for?
I think showing initiative
Ah,
is a big one. Is when that foreman asks, like, "Hey, I need somebody to go do this."
can I tell a story?
You can.
I love telling stories. Come to my class. I'll tell you a story.
You
Um,
will. Storytelling.
so it was my second job. I was at the Disney's Animal Kingdom. I was working as a laborer, and the yard foreman came around, and he would get out of his truck, and he would run out to the job site, and he would just yell. He would say, "Does anybody know how to drive a stick shift?" Now, I learned how to drive a stick shift on a Chevrolet C10 with the three on the tree. Okay. Um, didn't get good at it. So I
I've
learned
only driven
how,
one on a
but
tree, so
I didn't get good at it. And what he was asking was, could anybody drive a large truck with a stick shift? I'd never done that. And I volunteered. I threw my shovel down and said I can do it. And so that volunteering actually led from me going from a laborer to I ultimately took his job as the foreman, the yard foreman. Didn't know what I was doing. Total, just learned everything on the fly. But you know, do you want somebody that is willing to jump in with both feet with no training? I mean, it worked
there's
for me.
yeah. And I want somebody that's going to show initiative and want to jump in and learn something because, obviously there are, I guess, times when you got to be careful with that because somebody could get hurt.
Right. You
Obviously,
don't want to put
like
somebody in a
you don't
bad
want to put
situation.
somebody in a bad
And
spot.
I don't think today's day and age, I don't think we're going to have foremen, superintendents, leaders of the crews. They're not going to put somebody in a dangerous situation unless they've verified that they know how to do that
Yes,
particular task.
in
But
most cases, there may be still some instances,
yeah,
obviously, where that
yeah,
happens, but yes, the showing initiative part is really like you. That's how you learn a lot of times. You might make a mistake doing it, but you're going to learn from that mistake. Now, hopefully, you don't have to learn from that mistake twice. That gets a little worse, but it's a way of learning, and I think that's sometimes the best way.
yeah,
So I'm always big on show initiative, and that could be jumping in on a task or
hmm
volunteering for whatever that is.
yeah. So yeah, that initiative, man, that's huge. I've shoot wouldn't be where I'm at today if I hadn't have jumped in with both feet with no what do they call them, the swimmies?
Yeah.
on your arms. Yeah.
Or, I mean, the other side of that is the show and initiative part. It may not be you volunteering. It may be someone coming to you going, hey, go figure this out.
Yeah.
It may be. I mean, because there's been times in what I'm doing now, I'll just get something thrown and say, hey, I need this done. Go do it. And I have no idea anywhere to start. But I figure it out, ask people questions I need to ask questions to, whatever, figure out how to get that done. And most of the time it works out pretty well for me. Sometimes I have to learn the hard way,
Well, I mean,
but that's part of it.
I think, I read something on, and if you're new to the business, get on LinkedIn or some other kind of uh, uh, business or construction social media, because I saw something on there that said never be afraid to suck at something new.
100%.
I mean, look, every building that has been built, every structure that has gone up with a mistake.
Yes.
We're really good at fixing mistakes. I don't
Yep.
care. You can, and I hope that some executive in some huge construction firm watches this and says, my company doesn't make mistakes,
Oh,
because that's a lie.
that is a complete lie. Rework is sometimes our best feature. So when we get it right on the second go around.
Now, I don't like the do it right, do it twice. That philosophy.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to think that, we intentionally go make mistakes. There's a lot of times that we as leaders allow somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience, we allow them to make a mistake so that they learn. Because if I hold your hand through every task that you do, you're not going to learn how to do that task.
No.
There is a certain bit of hand holding that we have to do, obviously. Safety training is a big one. But for the most part, we will let you screw that up.
Well, and I think the other side of that is when you make that mistake, no matter how bad it is, you have to own up to it. You have to own up to that, right? And that's the common sense side of it. I think it's not so common, but you own up to that mistake, and then instead of quitting, how can I fix it?
Yep.
How can I go and fix it? One of our good friends that has made it a long way in his life is a VP of operations now at a company, and he told a great story on that, making a huge monetary mistake as a field engineer and thinking he's getting fired. And the general superintendent shows up that he's working for, and he's like, hey, boss, I got my office cleaned out. I know I'm gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then general looks at him and goes, hey, what are you doing? You go out there and fix it.
Yeah.
And it was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Probably could have got fired, but didn't. And that's, you obviously don't want to let anybody make that mistake if you can obviously keep that from happening. But when that mistake does get made, you have to be willing to own up to it and get it fixed. And that's what he was willing to do.
Yep.
And just at the time he thought it was like.
And I think some of the biggest learning experiences that I've had were the ones that I made that mistake and then I actually physically went in there and either fixed it myself or, had helped the crew that was working on it fix it. So yeah, that's a good one. All right. So what else are we thinking? What kind of things should somebody getting into this be mindful of?
Always been willing to take advantage of an opportunity. I think that goes back to somewhat of the show and the initiative thing. But what I mean by that, what I'm talking about is if a company offers training, or if a company offers, an opportunity as far as like the kind of training space or to level up your skills in a way, take full advantage of that. Don't go into it in a half-ass.
Oh, what do you mean by that? I can imagine there's something behind
just
this.
in the space that we're in now, we have individuals that sometimes, the company we work for pays for training.
A lot.
You're in training.
A lot.
Gives a lot of equipment, a lot of things like that. And we sometimes have people that come in that don't take full advantage of it. And and maybe it's not for them, and I get that, and we're always happy
Yeah.
to, hey man, that I understand that, go back out to the job, but don't be the guy that sticks around that just wants to get out of work. You know, trying to stick around as much as you can, doing enough of the work to get by to the next class because we see that and we eventually get them
Yeah.
out. But
Yeah.
it's one of those things of take full advantage of the opportunity your company's giving you if that's available to you,
Well,
or some of the free stuff in the industry now.
oh
Period.
my
There's
gosh,
so many things.
there's that you guys are coming into this industry at an awesome time. I mean, there's I'm gonna age myself, but there's YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are using the Tiki Taki, Tiki
TikTok. Yeah. There you
TikTok.
go. There you go.
Uh, but I mean, you can learn so much about this business. You can learn so much about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a subscriber to that Tiki Taki, and I watch videos on Excel and different softwares that we use, the CAD softwares that we use. It's just an awesome platform to learn from.
There's always a way to learn, and I think that's where I feel like closing some of this out to me is being someone that a continual learner. That's not the right word for that. What's the right word for that?
Lifelong student.
Lifelong learner or lifelong student. Yes. And I think that plays into what we've been talking about. All those characteristics that we've talked about go into what we're talking about now of being that lifelong student or lifelong learner. And being willing to always learn something new, no matter what level you're at. If you're half a century old or someone that's just coming into the industry or whatever that is,
Yeah.
I've heard from retired superintendents, different people that they come back, part of our class, come in one of the classes, hang out for the day or whatever, and they learn something, and they've been doing it 40 years.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of mindset you need, I think, young, starting out, that's going to help you grow faster and maybe get to where you want to be in your career.
Yep. Yep. So, I mean, these young folks that are watching this or listening to this now.
This is probably all
Um,
folks, by the way. Get this to a
yeah,
young folk out there.
we're hoping. But I mean, what would you say to somebody that's hearing this and say, "Oh, this is all crap. This is all crap. I'm just going to go to work and get a paycheck."
I tell you, I was told this one time, I guess, and this is where I come from on what you're asking here, is you're only going to go so far thinking of yourself. Thinking like, hey, I just want a paycheck. I just want to get paid to go home. You're only going to go so far. Now, how far you want to go is up to you. If you want to stop at a certain level, I completely understand that. I'm not going to go against you and say that you should want to grow. If you want to be a carpenter, that's where you stop. I'm fine with that. But if you're a person that thinks that you're owed something because you said what you just talked about, I do have a problem with you. I think you need to be willing to, like I said, grow and learn, but understand that you're going to be capped if you don't do those things. If you don't do some of these basic things we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so funny. We see instances of that.
We do.
I mean, going back to what you said about if you want to be a carpenter and that's it for the rest of your life. Look, man, I worked with a guy. He's probably one of the funniest, oldest guys that I've ever worked with. Was actually two now. But there's an old Jamaican dude, and he was probably in his early 70s when I met him. And I knew no. This is Marcel.
Oh,
this is
okay.
Mr.
Gotcha,
Rubin.
gotcha.
But this was Marcel, and I probably early 70s when I met him, and I worked with him for almost 10 years. So I mean, he was close to 80 when I stopped working with him. He would outwork anybody. I mean, he would go out there, but that's all he was going to be, was a laborer. I mean, now that was his lifelong career cap, where he could have, if he wanted to, have moved up, probably been a foreman, been a great foreman. But all I remember is every time I would make a mistake, or if he'd see me doing something he didn't like, he'd start chasing me around the job site with a shovel. and usually some Jamaican cuss words were coming out of his mouth as
No,
he's trying to swing at me. But the other guy, Mr. Ribbon,
I know
dude,
Mr. Rubin well.
that guy, he was the best. I call him helpers, but he was the best rodman, so field engineer helper that I've ever had.
And you talk about somebody that will make everybody else look like they don't work.
Oh
Because
yeah.
he's just a hard worker.
Oh yeah.
He puts everything in it, and you'd be over taking a break, and hot, sweaty, whatever. And Mr. Rubin's
No,
over like,
he's
why,
still
why are you not over here?
yeah, he's still going. But I mean, he was happy.
Well, and that's what I want to make sure I reiterate is I have no problem with those because a lot of times those individuals that want to stop at a carpenter or whatever level that is are the ones that put more stock in outside. Like I've known people be more involved in their church, which is a great thing, or be more involved in their community somehow. Obviously, be more involved in a family unit. Maybe they have more kids. I mean, I've met guys that have 8 kids, and that's a lot of work. Getting off work, going home, and dealing with a family of that size, and pouring into their lives. And that I don't want to, like I said, that is important, and I think that is a huge thing. Is we're not always having to put work first, but I do believe if you do want to move up, if you have that ambition to want to go forward, you do have to work at it and have to get there. So don't, like I said, don't feel like you're owed anything just because you're coming to work getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
You've got to put in the work sometimes.
Yeah. And I know when you're first starting out, man, the money is, you know, the first 2 hours of overtime, you're over there scrabbling about, how much am I going to make on my paycheck this week? Just understand the money is not the end goal in life. I think. I mean,
I agree with you on that. It was when I was younger, though. I mean, I 100% believed at one point in my life that I just needed to make the money.
yeah,
And I figured out very quickly that was not
yeah.
that was not what I was actually looking for.
Really, the money will come if
will.
you keep learning, you keep doing, and you keep trying, be ambitious and
Yeah.
inquisitive, and
And I would say one more thing too to the young person that might be listening is in this industry you're going to work for different personalities. There you go. Very different personalities, and you might work for an asshole that makes you want to quit and leave this industry and never come back. This is what I would tell you, and this is hard. I mean, obviously you may not listen to this at all, and I fully understand that because I didn't listen to it either. Is that person you can learn something from?
everybody.
You can learn something from everybody, and one big takeaway from that is if that's a superintendent or a foreman, whoever you're working for, when you get to that level, you can decide on if you want to be like them,
Yep.
or you can make your own way of doing things, and like, hey, I don't want to be that guy.
Yep.
And that's some things that I think are huge lessons that you don't know now until you know when you make it that level and go and you think back, going, man, I remember my foreman was this way. There's some good characteristics you may want to take from that asshole.
Oh, yeah.
But then there's ones that you're like, hey, man, I'm not going to be this,
Yeah.
And I think that's just the industry evolving over the years.
Well, I don't think we'll ever get away from having those assholes.
No.
And I don't think I want them to be.
No, and I'm not saying that. I'm just
Who
saying
would we bitch about?
Of course.
If there were no assholes, who would we bitch about?
You wouldn't have nobody to bitch about.
I mean, you got to have something to talk about on break.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Not your feelings.
Not your, But no, I definitely think, that's things you can take away. Because I have a lot of apprentices that come to me going, man, I feel like I'm about to quit. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, look, this is what I can tell you. You're either going to listen to it or you're going to quit. That's the options normally. And I had one that stuck it out, just moved to a new job, loving life now.
Yeah.
And he's got a new superintendent, and he's loving it, and he's doing great. And but I think it's something that you just got to go through.
Look, every project to be done.
Yes.
It may be a long project, maybe a short project. Every project will end. You will go to another one, and you work with a whole different group of people. The funny thing about it is, a lot of times, the next project, you might go with the same group of people, and everybody acts different. You just left them. They were an asshole 2 days ago. And it's Monday, brand new job site, whole new attitude.
Whole new attitude.
you know. So don't 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 get frustrated, don't get discouraged. It if you put in the work, man, this is God, I still say I can't fucking believe they paid me to do this. I love this business. I love this industry. I love building stuff. I mean, watching me, I have a great role. I can go out and visit job sites that are, you know, really small. I want to put a number to it, but I mean, like a tiny little office build out, I can walk in and see a different procedure going on or a different workflow. You know, we're using robots to do layout now. They're it's like having a printer that drives around on the floor and makes the marks. And then I go to the high rises that are 65 stories, and I see we're using a different type of control network system. So I have an awesome job that I get paid to go see this stuff, and it's there. It's always going to be there if you want it. If you want to, push yourself and I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I get excited.
I agree with you, and I think the one thing that I've taken away this because, and you know this, I guess I've always been told I'm really good at this is building relationships with people across the industry and here at the company we work for, and that's one of my favorite parts of the job, and that comes with that changing of jobs, going to the next, you find new
Hmm.
people, you may have the same relationship, building those relationships though over time, that stuff you'll never forget, and
Yeah.
that's really brings in for me that passion of loving doing this. I love the ever changing. I love the you start something new, or maybe you start something that you've seen before, but there's still going to be things different about it because never in this industry nothing ever goes the same.
Nothing.
You might be able
Nothing.
to build the exact same building here and then move over and build the same building. It's not the same. Something's going to go wrong. Something's going to be
I
different, whatever
mean,
it is.
concrete is concrete, wood is wood, metal is metal, but how we put it all together changes on every project.
Changes every project.
So yeah, that's awesome. I have high hopes for you if you're listening to this and you're just getting into it, or if you've been in for a while. And I I hope you find the pleasure and the joy in it, because once you do that,
You're locked. You'll love it forever.
yep.
You will, and I hope the things that we talk about on this, and maybe even the comment section underneath this, will help you, um, or at least be funny to you in some way. Because I think that's all just what we're trying to achieve with this is to get things out there in a perspective and get other people's opinions on it, and hopefully somebody can take what one of us say or what somebody says in the comments and be able to learn from it,
Yeah.
or change how they do something.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, what do you think? Did we do a service? So let's just wrap things up, because I know, like, there's there's a the shortest distance between 2 points is a line, right? So I'm going to do it on the screen, right? Shortest distance between 2 points is a line, straight line. Our conversations usually do this, and sometimes they go back around.
Yes,
So,
they
so let's go back and let's recap. So, be coachable,
be coachable,
have a good attitude. What else? Be motivated
be motivated,
and ready to do something, to volunteer. What would that fall under?
show an
Ambition, show
initiative.
an initiative.
Initiative,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that falls into that.
All right. So I think if you can lock down those traits
And be a lifelong learner. That was the
and
other.
be a
That was
lifelong
the
learner,
yeah.
right?
Be willing to learn.
You're gonna be the first on the promotion list when it's time to move up from role to role.
And the only other thing I would say about this is all of what we've been talking about, you control.
Yeah.
Not somebody on, not somebody on the job that you're working on, not your person you live with, whatever. You control the attributes that we were talking about, and you can wake up today or tomorrow and decide what those are. And I think that's something you have to work on, or something that maybe you're already doing.
Yeah. I mean, if you have to work on it, it's just like with anything else. You can do something for an hour. Like, I'm kind of large, right? So I'm not going to go to the gym tonight for an hour in the hotel and lose 10 or 15 pounds, right?
Nope,
So
I've
I'm going to
tried.
have to go. Yeah. I'm going to have to go consistent. And that's the same thing with any of this. You can't just work on it a little bit. You got to
No,
work on it for a while.
it's a little bit over a long period of time.
Make it a habit.
The whole marathon. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you think we did okay with this one?
I think we did. After all the problems of how long do we sit here? Just
Oh
before we
gosh,
close
are we
this?
going to
How long
talk
do
about
we-
this? Yeah.
How long
So
do we sit here to get this going?
So when we started doing this podcast 2.5 episodes ago,
Yeah.
we were doing this remote, my house and his house, and we thought, oh yeah, I'm going to be in town for a couple days. Let's sit down and do one in the same room. Not even close to being the same.
No, we're near it.
No.
And we had echoes. We had weird camera angles. I don't know. It was a lot of different
Yeah.
things. But we got it working, and hopefully this podcast, we're still recording now, so we'll see what the final cut of it is here shortly.
If you're listening to this, it wasn't shit.
Yeah. But no, enjoyed it. Looking forward to the next episode.
Yep. Are we gonna? We're gonna be back to remote, right?
We are going to be back to remote.
Yeah. It's way fucking
But
easier.
good news is this happens occasionally where we're in the same place, and next time I think we know what we're going to do to make this a little bit easier on us at least. You didn't see that part of it, but we did, and so we'll have some a little bit better, maybe even the audio's better, things like that.
We'll be throwing up some bloopers probably in one of the comment sections.
I'm kind of worried because I didn't see what all you recorded, so
there's
a lot of things.
Yeah.
Probably said that.
And as we go forward, we're going to have some guests on like we did last time. Last time the guests were all remote. There's a possibility we might go to be on site.
It's the hope.
Yeah, so stick around. Hopefully we'll see you again, and
see you next time.
have a good one.